If I could clarify it in 2, 3 words, maybe it would be uniqueness, value, and being fearless, like not having fear. Why? It's because, as I said, even when I first started, I used to have this fear of not speaking as my true self. And I think that's what pushed me back even more. Like I couldn't gain anything from that. But when I stopped fearing, when I started to really position myself as being this specific and unique person, as each of us are. So we all have unique stories. And also not having the fear to share them, share successes, share failures, share anything that's making you human and making you you. Because I really don't like when people on LinkedIn just post the same thing, but phrased differently. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the same message in every post, but different format. And back then, people used to post these long posts. And I mean, no formatting, like ChatGPT emojis. I was like, I am not reading this. There is nothing in the world that can make me sit down and read this.
Before we dive into today's episode, please hit that subscribe button. Your support helps us grow and inspire more people on their journeys. Thank you. Hello, Keti. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on here, Thomas. I'm very, very excited to talk to you.
So, Keti, for those who don't know you, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Keti, and currently I'm a co-founder of a social media agency, digital agency. But the most work that we do is on LinkedIn, where we scale LinkedIn profiles, scale businesses, help teams to grow and be visible on LinkedIn.
And can you tell us more, Keti, about your background? Because as people might know or not know, you are a friend of Maria, someone who I've spoken with as well. And you are also from the country that I feel like that I haven't met that many people from there. So I'll be curious to hear more about your experience. What was it like growing up there and what is it like to live there?
Yeah, so my backstory is kind of different because I am of Macedonian nationality, but I was born in Australia, Sydney. Lived there for 5 years. I came back to Macedonia and lived here most of my life. And then 5 years ago, went back to Australia, came back, and now I'm here. So quite a journey, quite a journey.
Actually, I saw it on your website, on the one with the Sachi art. So I was curious if it's different Keti or if it's actually you as a Keti. So I was about to ask.
Yeah, that's me. I used to do a lot of art back in the day. Still try to do it, but that was my main, I guess. It's like that's what I wanted to do back then. So I really wanted to work in Ubisoft. I'm not sure if you know the
Like the gaming company.
yeah. I wanted to do like
Oh,
character design, but I was like, I'm not sure if I can like be there. So did other works.
oh, I see. Is it because you've been into gaming or you enjoyed like a 3D art?
I really liked specifically Assassin's Creed, especially the Origins one with the Egyptians. I'm a big fan of ancient Egypt. So yeah, that kind of hooked me on and it made me learn how to draw online and like digitally. And yeah,
And why didn't you pursue that type of career, like to become 3D artist?
I I'm not really sure. I think it's because I thought it was harder and I thought that I wouldn't fit in just because I was doing graphic design, but this is like very specific and I checked like the applications that they were showing and where there was possibility for me to work. So there was option of Sydney, I think, and another one was in Bulgaria. So I just kind of had to be like, okay, if I were to move there, like if I'm in Sydney, of course I'm gonna work there, but there was no chance back then because I was studying already. So I was like, maybe right now where I'm here, the closest place is Bulgaria. So I might give it a try someday, but for now, I think I'm good with the agency, to be honest.
Yeah. And if you don't mind it sharing, what is actually the reason why you left and moved to Australia or
Mm.
to Macedonia between these two countries?
Well, practically, I went to study there because my brother was there and he was living there for 12 years, basically on his own. And so my family was like, why don't you go and see where you came from? So I was like, okay, no problem. I'll go and study. So yeah, I did leadership management, business management, did a little bit of graphic design, had some internships in other agencies for media. But I just decided that, I've always felt the call to live in Europe. And that's something that's always been in my heart. It's been very close to me. So I decided to come back here in Macedonia because I was like, this is my place. And I really enjoy the slow life. Like, I like bigger cities, but not to live in them forever. So
Yeah.
until I make up my mind, I think I'm really doing great here in a smaller town.
Yeah, I feel like I can relate since I live in London, but I come from a small place as well. And it's like a completely different life that it's more rushed faster here. Whereas when you go home, it's more chilled and completely different type of life.
Yeah, I definitely like I worked a lot of different jobs in Australia. So really, really wide variety. And I just remember going to I used to have two jobs at one time and I was traveling back and forth like for 1 hour with the train. And I was like, is this life? Basically, it made me think, I really wanted to be in one place, work in that one place, and just not bother or worry about when I was gonna come home, what I had to do. I just wanted it to be simple. And for some
Yeah.
people, like that kind of life is exciting, but for me, I really prefer slow living.
And right now, have you got like any plans to in the future move to a different place, or are you planning to stay where you are, or you don't know?
I'm not sure I know. I just know that I don't think there's a lot of places that I would like to live. There's one, maybe Ireland or Scotland, but really not sure about that one because I practically will have to start my life from zero there. That's the tricky part. Meanwhile, here I have family, I have relatives, friends that I've already made. So like that whole process of starting again is really not hard for me, but very challenging, I guess more mentally than physically. Yeah.
And sorry if I missed that, but why Scotland?
I've always liked it. I've always liked it. I don't know, I feel like actually the Macedonian culture is very, very similar to like Scotland and Ireland, I believe. And I've always read stories about like their mythology and history and everything, and that kind of pulled me in.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I've been only to a few cities in Scotland, but it was beautiful, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, did you like them?
Yeah, I've been to Edinburgh and Glasgow, and I think the Edinburgh is just beautiful. Would highly recommend it anyone to just visit the city and the sights, and I think the whole atmosphere was really nice.
We'll love to go. We'll love to go. You're giving me some inspiration now.
Yeah, go for it. So then, after your studies, when you studied graphic design, was that something that you actually planned to pursue in your career?
That's actually what I started with first on LinkedIn. So I had graphic design and I wanted to go into basically packaging design and everything or like branding. But I realized that graphic design is really interesting and it's very creative, but definitely there's a lot of pressure on you to complete certain projects and deadlines. And it's more like you do it one time and then that's it. And although I like it, I think it's because I want something that's more sustainable in those terms. So I was working freelance graphic design and I wasn't in a specific company or anything like that. And yeah, I started on LinkedIn with that. Didn't manage to get a couple of gigs, honestly. And then once I realized that I've learned how LinkedIn works, I was like, okay, maybe this is the path I should take. And at that time, as you know, Marina, we were high school friends, but we didn't talk then. We just knew each other. And so I decided to hit her up. I was like, hey, I want to, share a coffee with you one day. So we meet up. She talks to me. She's all about LinkedIn. I'm like, okay. And the idea slowly starts to grow in my head. And I was like, still not entertaining it. Like for 6 months, I used to do like website design. I don't know, books. I wrote books for some reason, but I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. And with Marina, it started to go really well. So I'm really thankful for her for introducing me to this. And yeah, now we're here.
And I always ask people like, what's the reason behind starting LinkedIn? So was it for you to look for work when it comes to design? Was that the reason why you basically started?
It was one of I have to be honest, the first time I tried LinkedIn, I hated it so much. I wanted to delete my profile. I really did.
Why was that?
I just thought it was so, like, what's the word that I use? It's so cliche.
Boring?
It's boring, yeah. But at that time, I was thinking like, okay, LinkedIn is supposed to be professional. So there's people with suits here. I need to make an impression. And the first month, I was like writing these posts that were so funny that it was like, I don't even know how I wrote, to be honest. It was just so professional and boring and this jargon. And then I thought,
Yeah.
that's not me. So like after a month, I was like, I'm gonna post my first meme. And so I started posting memes, and one of the first one actually, well, not the first one, maybe the third one, was a meme of King Baldwin the Fourth. I'm not sure if you know that. It's like with his hand when he stops. And Luke Matthews, he's a really big creator on LinkedIn. He commented on that and he was like, wow, I like this kind of post. I was like, you know what? Maybe this is working. So I slowly started to put my persona into my posts, and I didn't care about, oh, does this make me sound like this, or will I lose somebody who's thinking more professional? Because in general, I think what people relate to the most on LinkedIn, because it's already professional enough, it's just being real. And real, not in terms of, oh, I'm going to share everything about my life, but I'm going to share this which has value in my life that can be useful for you. So I find that's the main blueprint for LinkedIn.
I really like it. I always say that there should be more people posting about memes because, yeah, of course, it doesn't need to be every day, but it's something that stands out, that is just funny. And me personally, stops me scoring, and I like to see something that makes me laugh. So I think it was perfect example.
Yeah, it definitely gives you just a space to breathe instead of, I mean, realistically, when we scroll, are we going to read all of the posts on LinkedIn? No. We're gonna read the ones that grab the attention. So, of
Yeah.
course, if it's a meme, it's easier to digest and just entertaining and relatable, and that's what hits the most.
And I think it's also good that it stands out because if you see like a motivational content, branding related, some, I don't know, career updates, and then there is a meme, it just makes you stop and something slightly different. So that's also a good way how to stand out. And what actually, like a time are we talking about? How long ago was it?
When I first started posting,
Mm-hmm.
let me see. Actually,
Was it just roughly like a few months or years?
I think 20 or three, I'm not sure if I will say the beginning of 2024. That's when it started. Because I remember in January, that's when things started to pick up last year.
Yeah, and I mean, how many? You've got more than 20K followers, so you've grown quite a good presence, right?
Yeah, I went from having really low followers, to be honest. It was maybe 1K at the first month, and then it slowly started to grow. And in September, that happens basically, yeah, last September, that's when I started to get a large amount of followers, and then it slowly started to grow and grow. But that's by the time I realized how the formatting and what I need to post specifically on LinkedIn. So it really
Yeah.
came to a one point where I had to be like, okay, I know what I'm doing and I'm posting about it.
And like one of the questions that I just have to ask, and maybe it might be a bit annoying to you because I'm sure that you receive this question a lot, but when someone asks you, hey, Katie, what's the secret sauce or your piece of advice? What is it that you usually tell people?
The secret sauce. The secret sauce is you have to be. Now that's making me smile because I'm thinking of food now and I'm quite hungry. But
No, but I'm sure that you get a lot of DMs, and it's like, Katie, how to grow, how to get followers, because I get these messages as well, and I'm always curious to hear like from different people what they would answer to this question. So I'd be curious to hear what would you answer.
yeah, of course. If I could clarify it in 2, 3 words, maybe it would be uniqueness, value, and being fearless, like not having fear. Why? It's because, as I said, even when I first started, I used to have this fear of not speaking as my true self. And I think that's what pushed me back even more. Like I couldn't gain anything from that. But when I stopped fearing, when I started to really position myself as being this specific and unique person, as each of us are. So we all have unique stories. And also not having the fear to share them, share successes, share failures, share anything that's making you human and making you you. Because I really don't like when people on LinkedIn just post the same thing, but phrased differently. You know what I mean? It's like it's the same message in every post, but different format. And that's not intriguing for anyone, I believe. And back then people used to post these long posts. And I mean, no formatting, like ChatGPT emojis. I was like, I am not reading this. There is nothing in the world that can make me sit down and read this.
Yeah.
And I was like, the shorter, so that's the blueprint at first when you're starting, because there's different levels, right? So when you first start posting, for example, if you're really trying to stand out, make sure you're appealing to broader audiences and also hitting their pain points. So it's not just, I know a lot of people struggle with, I need to get my, or like ICP here to read this and respond to this and get leads. And that's great, but it's not profitable in the way that you think you can immediately target these people and then get feedback. You need to throw a bigger net and then make sure that you have followers, you build trust and authority. And that's when you can start creating variety in your content. Meaning, if you want to speak about results, let's say, I don't know, this client reach a specific number. Let's be realistic. If you were to share that with 50 followers, maybe you'll get 5 likes. So, meaning that's not going to work for you in the beginning, but it can after you start to grow your base.
Yeah, I completely agree with the points that you shared. Like, firstly, when someone posts about the same thing regularly, I understand and agree that it's important to repeat the message because you've got new people coming to your profile, you want to reinforce the message. But if you keep following someone, I'm not going to lie, I find it really boring if you see the same stuff day after day.
Yeah.
And the second point, when you mentioned with the formatting, I'm never reading like a long paragraph or text, especially if you consider how much content there is. It's I would say it's like, I don't know what was it like back then, but now I think you just have to format it, just make it easier to skim, to understand, and make it also visually appealing, because that's also what catches people attention.
Yeah, that's true. The reason why I hesitate mostly, not saying I haven't done it before, but longer posts, to me, they're a little bit like ego driven. Why do I think that way? It's because you're expecting somebody to spend 5 minutes of their time reading your entire post. And maybe they gain something, maybe they don't. So for me, it's like, how can I let my viewer understand this specific lesson that I'm teaching quick, fast, and to get their value in and out? Because, yeah, just long reading, yeah, nah, that's not working.
But sometimes I think when someone, of course, outside of formatting, if they are really good with storytelling, and I start reading and I'm really hooked and I'm like, I want to see how it goes and how it ends in the end, then sometimes it works. But then it comes to skill of storytelling, of course.
True. And I think this also works for much bigger creators. So people that already have trust in them will definitely read through that post. But if someone who's just starting, there's, I think, maybe 1% chance that someone will read that post.
And during your basically time showing up on LinkedIn, did you have like any breaks, or have you been consistent throughout the whole time? Because one of the big things obviously is consistency and to keep showing up, but it's not always easy. Like, for example, when it comes to burnout or when it doesn't yield any results. So what is your experience like?
Yeah. Posting on LinkedIn is definitely tiring, especially if you need to think about what posts you're going to be. So I know people that sit down and write their posts for 1 month ahead. I really, you know, I respect that. But for me personally, that's not always the plan, because sometimes I go from emotion. So something that's happened this week, I will write it that week, and it's that specific day. I got angry at something, I'm writing about it. And I been consistent? Yes and no. For example, last year when I first started to grow on LinkedIn, I remember because I had this client who I had to work for 7 days a week. And that was really draining me a lot, not just physically and mentally, but also creatively. And I would post maybe once a week back then. I really tried my best. But from the months of, I think it was May till the 1st of September, I was really slacking. And then I started to go, like, okay, let's make sure I'm being serious about this. So yes, consistency does work, but I also believe it's okay to take a break. It's okay to relax. It's okay to just rewind and see, you know, where you need to rest. Because if you're continually just posting without feeling anything, I think that's more harmful than if you were to just post when you felt like it. But healthy balance.
I think so. I agree as well, because I think it's also easy to compare yourself to others. If you see, for example, someone posting daily or regularly, even like top-notch quality content, it's easy to compare yourself that you want to be like that as well. But then you don't know what is really the background, if the person has a team, if they're working with someone else. So I would just say find what works for you.
Not exactly, because some big creators do have teams. You know, there's somebody writing these posts for them for hours, and all they have to do is just be there or even not be there. But
I was going to say that.
yeah, not everyone is online for themselves, and that's the reality. Not saying that that's
Mhm.
bad, but yeah, it's just unrealistic to think somebody can post 2 times a day and they're mentally well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then coming back to where you met with Marina and you together decided to start We Craft You Grow. What was like, or why did you actually decide to join forces and start the agency together? Or whose idea was it?
It was both of our idea. It was both of our idea, and it was at a time where we kind of needed each other's help. So we had clients together before, but we didn't have an agency. So we just thought, let's make sure we create a website. Let's found this agency because it was about time, and I think that was really helpful for both of us because we each specifically like we fill in the gaps of where one is lacking. So we make sure that we're a healthy balance of just the right amount of work and passion and creativity. And
Mhm.
that's kind of why we decided. It was just because it was easier for us to both work together rather than alone.
I completely understand. And I think it's also easier or better to have someone like for support to bounce ideas off and just help each other.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you struggling to stay consistent on LinkedIn? FanPost helps you create high quality posts in minutes, so you can write faster, show up more, and stress way less. Built by creators for creators. It's the easiest way to grow your presence without burning out. Try it free at fanpost.com. And I'm not sure, but what is it like your vision for the future? Are you planning to grow the agency, like to get other employees, or do you plan to keep it only you two, or what are your plans?
Um, so I think honestly, I would like to grow the agency a little bit more and focus on that, but I definitely see myself growing our team together because I only just need to basically train everybody to just do the things that I have learned. And from then on, I can focus on other things because I do have other projects in mind. I've liked the work and I'm still liking it, but it is overwhelming sometimes because you need to be there 24/7. And especially like lately, like the past 2 weeks, I've been so burnt out. It's insane, but I'm still trying my best, doing my best, working. But sometimes you do need to grow and scale in order to feel just better and more secure.
Yeah, it's especially appreciated that you found time for the podcast, a very busy schedule. So thank you.
No worries. I would love to just yeah be on here.
Yeah, and when it comes to the clients, have you got specific niche that you target, or who are the people that you work with?
Yeah. So most of them are founders, business owners, and company teams. So those are the people we're trying to target. And yeah, it's been going well with them, with a lot of them. We've had clients from all over the world, to be honest. We've had from Germany, from the US, UK, Lithuania, Dubai, just a lot of places. So I'm really happy that I get to work with people from all over the world. And yeah.
And obviously, there are many agencies out there and people who do this type of work. But would you be able to say what makes you or your agency stand out, or what makes you different or better than the others?
That's tricky, but I
You should say because of
yeah,
because of the people behind it.
people behind it. Yeah, I honestly think the one thing that makes us stand out is our ability. So both both me and Marina, we have this capability to understand each industry and what each client wants. So I'm not saying that other agencies don't do that. I'm just saying that we've really mastered the process of understanding these clients' target group and people and ICP, and really wondering what are their main pain points. How can we create this content that's not going to appear salesy? So that's one thing I'm always against. Me and Marina both. We hate being salesy. We hate being pushy. So it's really tricky to make sure that whatever you're talking about to get attention on LinkedIn and get leads is, how do I phrase this without seeming pushy, by being helpful, and just by being considerate and human? So putting that into posts, it's not easy, but it's so much better than if you were to just, okay, this post is going to be about 3 lessons about something in the business. But is that actually helpful? It's not just about writing, it's about when the client reads this post, like their prospects, will they get value from this? Will they be able to trust us? So that's the main core of what we're trying to do.
I like it, and I'm a big fan also of when someone is not salesy or too pushy. Like when something lands into your DMs, it often makes me wonder, oh my God, what is this? And
Yeah.
as I can see on your profile that you worked with more than 100 satisfied clients, but behind these satisfied clients, I'm sure that there are like some, I don't want to say unsatisfied, but there are always challenges or something that hasn't worked out. So can you think of like any examples where maybe you struggled, it didn't work out, or any challenges that you would be willing to share?
Yeah, of course. What do you think? So working with people is always tricky, no matter what industry you're in. So as I said, I've worked in different industries. People are very interesting to deal with. There are some rare cases where there's issues or problems or misunderstandings. That's always going to happen. I'm not going to be fake on here and say everything is perfect. No, there's ups and downs. So yeah, as I said, working with clients is sometimes tricky. It really means that you have to understand what they want, but also it's very tricky to get clients to understand what is working on LinkedIn and what's not. So that means if they want to post a specific content and I can clearly see that it's not going to work on LinkedIn, and telling them, look, what you're writing, the hook is not there. The formatting is all over the place. You're sending me professional photos with your entire team for months now. I can't help you, you know? So I always struggle with that. I really do, because you know, you really need to get the client to understand that what you're doing is working and them
Yeah.
to agree. Because otherwise, it's really, really hard. And as I even said in the beginning, when I used to work for this one specific client for 7 days a week, that's when I started to understand that it's not about frequency, it's about quality of the content. So I was showing up every day nonstop for 7 months. And I was like, this is okay, but I'm getting burnt out. And worse than that is you're exhausting your content. So you're showing up every day, you're talking about similar topics. It's really hard to make sure that works, because for me, I personally really I guess value posting like shorter content 3 times maybe a week, and that's it, rather than 7 days. So that specific client really wanted every day, thought that that was going to work. We told them every time, it's not working, let's change. No, no, no. Okay, and then we had to cut the collaboration because I couldn't keep going and our team couldn't keep going if they didn't understand what was working.
Yeah, it's a good point because it reminds me, for example, I can often see some profiles of like higher ranked people, for example, founders or some entrepreneurs. And when you look at their posts, you can see that they post literally every day or even with a higher frequency. And now I don't want to offend or disrespect anyone, but those posts are like extremely low quality with very low engagement as well, because not going to lie, I wouldn't engage with such content, but it often makes me wonder, why don't you post, as you said, for example, 3 times per week, something of higher quality? Because I think it doesn't even help with the first impression when you see someone with such a content on their profile.
Yeah. I'm gonna be a major hater on this, and I'm gonna be honest. I hate that kind of content, and specifically, I remember once there was this one, I'm not gonna out them, I'm not gonna flame everyone, this one person actually, but they had a huge amount of following. And I was like, okay, let me follow them, let me connect with them. And then I started to notice that because one of my clients wanted to do engagement pods at that time, I don't do them anymore. I'm very happy about that. And they were on there. And I was like, so basically their content is, the entire thing is an engagement pod. Their entire post is an engagement pod. And the following was insane. I was like, okay, like right now I have what, 21K, I believe. They had like a lot, like 136. And they got the same amount of likes and comments as I do now. And I was like, what's going on? There should be more. And this one time, I was on my LinkedIn doing my work. I get this message from them, and I see this message, and it was the worst message I have ever read in my life. Made me want to shut down the laptop. But it was like, hey, so I'm having this masterclass, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So are you not interested in growing on LinkedIn? Well, you're really trying to manipulate me here, aren't you? It's not gonna work. And they're offering these masterclasses, and I'm like, look, maybe they can work for people with bigger creators, but you're offering these masterclasses to people who have 4K. It's not the same. And speaking of, one issue that I also encountered with one specific client is they wanted to have a masterclass and they took this program from someone else. And I looked at it and I was like, look, you're teaching something for 15 minutes and then you're selling for 35. I was there in the masterclass. I was online. Do you know what happened? Disaster. It was disastrous. It was like the first 15 minutes while she was talking, everything was great. When she started selling, everybody left. And she was there for 35 minutes or something selling. I was like, make it stop. Please make it stop. Because, yeah, I broke down. And I told that client afterwards, like, let us change it. And then we did change it. And I saw an incredible change where I was like, let's just talk about something valuable. Let's make sure we have questions every now and then. Let's make sure we're talking with the audience and not just talking to them, but talking with. And there was some interest, but of course, there was the selling again, and just things weren't the right way. But that program that client used, we didn't approve of it, and it actually ended up damaging the brand more than it helped it.
Yeah, it was both funny and sad to listen to. I was about to add that when you mentioned that the person has or had way more followers than you, but the engagement, whether it comes to likes or comments, was same or similar. I think what's also a good thing to point out is then when you look at the comments, you can see the difference of those profiles with higher following, that those comments are literally like soulless, artificial, just so boring. But then if you've got like a creator who's got lower following but similar comments or something like that, you can see that it's actually the real people and they are having the conversation. So there is some truth to saying, or when people post about that engagement matters, that's how you build a relationship, how you get to know others. So that was just a great point, and this is like one of the things that you just can see in the comments when you come to comment on someone else's post.
It's so clear. It's so clear. It's funny to me because when I see comments like, this is incredibly valuable. Thank you for this post. It was so great. I really like the value. I think I'm gonna save this. Okay, save it. But
that's incredible perspective.
incredible perspective. Really great work. I'm like, can you not talk about something else? So that's one thing I'm gonna add really quickly is the engagement and comment strategy. When people comment just the most boring stuff, I'm not blaming everyone. Even I can be boring with comments sometimes. But if you're just saying, oh, this is really great, Katie, thank you. What can I answer to that? Honestly, when I comment, I go like, I'm crazy. Okay, when I comment, I don't even think about the post sometimes. I look at a picture, I see a dog, I'm like, puppy, give me the puppy. Like, it's just whatever comes to my mind, I do that. And I get actually great, like, back and forth with that specific creator because it doesn't always have to be about the content. It can be about the community and the people and just being here and just being friends. It's simple.
I agree. And I think people should try to put themselves into the shoes of the other person. Because, for example, when I reply to my comments. And as you said, great post, insightful perspective. And then there is one comment that, for example, mentions, I don't know, one line, even if it's like grammatically incorrect, but I can see that it's authentic, it makes me laugh or something. It just makes me remember, like it's one comment out of 10 and it stands out. And you just don't have to overthink it. Just write what's on your mind, be authentic and have some fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's much easier that way. To just be like, okay, this is what you wrote genuinely, so I'm gonna respond genuinely instead of very insightful. What can I answer to that? Thanks, and that's it. I move on.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. And as we've been talking about the clients, have you got like a dream client, maybe a company or person or someone that you would, for some reason, want to work with?
I'm not sure. I would just like to work with good clients, people that have really passion for what they're doing, what they're building, somebody who's passionate. It doesn't, I mean, dream clients, of course, I don't know, bigger companies perhaps, but doesn't mean that just because they're a bigger company that it's gonna make it better for me. I just basically value what each client wants to achieve, and if I can help them to achieve it, I'm happy.
Yeah, that makes sense. And when it comes to tools that you use, obviously AI is a big topic. What role does AI play in your workflow, or what tools you use, or have you got any recommendations?
Yeah, so I specifically, for example, when it comes to writing the post or something like that, I do get a little bit of help from ChatGPT to understand the specifics of that industry because I'm not, I'm not all knowing. I do not know what every industry is. So I definitely learn and research a lot from ChatGPT. But yeah, specifically, I tend to not use it as much because I really believe in that when I write down posts, like the post I wrote today, for example, I wrote it without anything. I just sat down, but I got AI in my mind. That's why I call it. It's like you understand the formatting, you understand what the hook's going to be, you got a listicle, arrows, numbers, whatever it is, and a strong call to action. So to me, AI can enhance, but if you're expecting to write everything for you, I really find it hard to do that because it still sounds like AI. But definitely a big help. Without AI, I mean, it's gonna be really hard.
And do you use like any other maybe more focused tools when it comes to designing or any type of content outside? Have you got any preferences?
Or for graphics, maybe for infographics, I always go towards Canva. I really like it. It's very easy to work on. I used to use Adobe before, but right now it's just Canva for me. Yeah, I've got some editing tools for videos like CapCut. It's very simple, of course. But other than that, we don't necessarily use anything more. I would consider it, to be honest, but yeah, I just need to see how it works and everything like that.
Yeah. And especially with your design background, I was curious to hear what you're going to say, like if you're team Canva or team Adobe or maybe even something different.
Mix. I also sometimes, very rarely, but I use Sketchbook Pro. I know it's funny, but I like it.
I'm not going to lie, I never used it. I might need to have a look.
Yeah, it's really simple. It's like for drawing because I used to draw before, so I was like, I find it easier to sometimes edit something on there. But Canva all the way.
Yeah, I'm the same team. And you mentioned it, Katie, in the beginning, and I was actually about to ask you as well that you published books, which when I found out, I found it quite impressive. So can you tell us more about it? Like, what are the books? Why did you actually publish? If people can buy it and trade it?
Oh wow. I haven't talked about the books in a long while. I was genuinely caught off guard. Well,
Why
yeah,
not?
so yeah, no, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, honestly. The reason, well, the books are basically the first one was a philosophy. So back in the day, I think 3, 4 years ago, I used to really be into Stoicism and Chinese philosophy, Taoism, and I used to practice it every day and just really live that lifestyle. But every once in a while, I would be like, maybe this isn't working or something's off. So the main core of the book, the first one that I wrote, is called Seisto Philosophy. And I wrote it because it was going to be more practical about how to live your life, but specifically with lessons I've learned from my life. and how you can find philosophy in your everyday surroundings. So I don't believe that philosophy is something you have to read. You can literally look at a river and get a message from that. It's if you know how to tune your mind to it. So that was the first one. I've got a lot of books in the works. I finished one, but I haven't published it. This is a really interesting one. It's a fantasy book, but it's about finding temples in Antarctica.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So have you got like even plans to continue publishing later on and be more like of a writer?
Yeah, I would love to. So the philosophy one I'm actually going to publish in Macedonian this year. I just have to get that sorted. It is published online in English. You can buy it if you want. I'm not sure where the link was. If I find it, I'll send it to you. But yeah, for in the future, I would like to think that I can and will write even more, but that's definitely really time consuming for me, and it's really just I'm already working as it is now, so I'm just trying to balance everything. So I'll see about that.
We just discussed the age of burnout and how busy you are, and writing books on top of it. I cannot imagine.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I always think that if you have an idea, it's better to not wait and to just do it or start doing it. Because if you wait for the perfect time, there's never going to be a perfect time.
Yeah, that is very true. And speaking of Stoicism, have you read or are you a fan of Marcus Aurelius or Ryan Holiday?
That's my boy. That's my boy. I love Marcus. I love him.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I actually used to remember like passages from that book, from meditations, and I still reread it every once in a while. I really believe that Stoicism, you have to learn it, like, you have to really think how Marcus thought, because if you don't, you're gonna basically feel nothing. Because it's not about you losing feelings or not feeling. I'm pretty sure you've seen those TikToks and edits of like Stoic quotes and people trying to explain philosophy. And that's okay. But what I actually realized with Stoicism specifically, it's that you have to be fearless. You can't have fear because even fearing failure makes you basically fearful. And that's what Marcus is against. So he had this one specific scene where he was talking about this very rich man boarding this boat, and he had all his belongings with it. And then the boat crashes, he loses everything, and he's basically starting from zero again. So he's really about don't fear what you've lost, think about what you can gain, and don't have fear. I really struggled with seeing on TikTok like the stoic ones where it's just about the gym, going to the gym. If you don't go, you're weak. And it's like, so you basically fear being weak. That's weakness in itself. So you have to really attune to that specific message to not fear whatever it happens. Even if you're at a disadvantage, you have your own brain, your own thoughts. That's the only thing you can command. Everything else, you can build on it.
I always like and try to remind myself what Ryan Holiday says a lot, which is amor fati, to love the fate. Basically, anything that life throws at you, be grateful for that, and just see it as opportunity to improve and keep going with that. Even if it's something bad or something unfortunate, try to see something positive in it. And
Yeah.
one of my questions that I always like to ask people are book recommendations. So what will be your recommendation, whether it will be meditations or even something outside?
Haven't read in a long while, so really not sure about that one, but definitely meditations. That's one that you can always go back to, and it applies to literally everything in your life. It's very useful. So I think I will recommend meditations because nothing else is coming to mind.
Or maybe your own book?
Perhaps, I mean, if you're willing, yeah, I'll send a link. I'll send a link.
Yeah. And before we finish, I always also like to ask some lighter questions. And so, Katie, what is it that you enjoy doing in your free time, or what are your hobbies?
That's really funny because I just got the worst images in my brain. It's like, what are you doing in free time? Just chill. No, what do I like? I have cats. I take care of my cats. I play with my cats. I play hide and seek with them. Don't know if that counts as a hobby.
No, it does. I'm a big fan of cats. I wish I had
Yeah.
same as well. I do.
You got cats? You don't got cats?
No, I mean, we have cats with my parents, but not where I live. But I like them. I think they are super funny and super cute as well.
We need to get a cat. Cats with the greatest. Love cats. If I could own even bigger cats, like I'm talking about, I don't know, tigers or something, I would do it, but it's not legal. Other than that, gym, of course, I love going to gym, but that's a love and hate relationship. Sometimes I hate it. I used to like doing archery a lot, but I don't do it now because I don't have the equipment. Other than that, reading, I like doing creative things, so sometimes art, drawing, things like that. Definitely like traveling, but not so much now. I'm very homebound. So other than that, I can't think of anything.
And as we discussed in the beginning, do you play games? Like, because when you spoke about Assassin, is it something that you still play or not anymore?
I don't have my PS anymore. It broke down, so I need to buy another one. I think I overheated it, okay, because I was playing so much. I remember Assassin's Creed Origins, my favorite one. At the beginning, I used to be at home for days. I would not get out. I would be like, yes, I am Bayek of Siwa. I'm doing missions. And that was great. I love that. It was an amazing experience, but honestly, I couldn't sit for days on end because I had work. So actually, one of the funny things that I realized about me is that it gives me passion and energy for the day ahead. So I used to play it at 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. or just like 30 minutes. So it gives me a boost of energy because I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I love that game, but I also love Minecraft. I know it's
Oh, okay. I've never been much into it, but I know lately there's been a lot of hype because of the movie.
time. Yeah, I haven't seen the movie. No, I just like building stuff. I like building stuff. And also, I don't know if you've heard of Age of Mythology. Really like that one.
I remember Age of Empires, so I think it's something similar
It's
as well.
similar. It's similar. Yeah, Age of Mythology is similar. And then Stronghold Crusader. That's pretty old one.
Yeah, because I used to have PS2 when I was younger, and it's been such a long time, but I think I remember some of those games. I wasn't expecting
So
such a sense of nostalgia. So, Katie, can you please summarize where people can find you, follow you, and promote any of your services?
yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn as Keti Zashala. Otherwise, you can find it on our website, which is www.becraftygrow.com, and that's probably the easiest.
And then the final question, or is there anything that I should have asked you and did not, or any final piece of message or advice you would like to share before we finish?
I believe we've covered a lot of topics, to be honest. So a lot of messages there. I hope a lot of value. And yeah, just if I had one message, it's be as unique as you can on LinkedIn or wherever you can as your personal brand, and you'll be fine. You'll be good, and you'll grow.
I like it. I can only agree. I want to say a big thank you, Katie. It was great to meet you outside of LinkedIn. I really like the way you show up, your content. So keep doing the great work. Of course, thank you very much for joining me, and I will keep following and supporting. So thank you.
Thank you, Thomas, as well. And likewise, everything you said, right back at you.
Thanks for listening to Produced by with Domain. Check the show notes for all the links, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your feedback. Speak soon.